Hey everybody, this is Kevin Neal from the TWAIN Working Group, and we're just waiting for last minute people to join here. So let's give it a minute, let them join, and then we'll start our presentation. Very excited to have a great presentation today. We've got a great ISV guest, SimpliCapital. Vivek is here, so we're gonna get started in just a second. Let everybody, last minute people join, then we'll get started. So we're gonna mute everybody's line here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, thank you for attending this webinar on better cash flow management, optimizing working capital using TWAIN Direct. We're joined today by Vivek over at SimpliCapital. So we've got a great presentation today. I'm Kevin Neal with the TWAIN Working Group. I'm the marketing chair. All lines have been muted just to avoid any background noise, but we do encourage interactivity and comments and questions as we go along. So it'll be very interactive. And Vivek and I are just going to chat back and forth. We've got some great information for you on the TWAIN Working Group side with the TWAIN Direct project, then also how SimpliCapital complements this so nicely and vice versa. So we've got an exciting presentation today. So let's go ahead and not waste any more time. Again, please chat. Free to unmute and ask questions. So we want this to be interactive, but we got a great presentation today. Okay, so let's start with who we are. So your host today. So I'm Kevin Neal with the TWAIN Working Group. I'm the marketing chair, as I mentioned. Erin Dempsey is our fearless leader. She got a last minute obligation to take care of today, but she is the marketing administrator over at the TWAIN Working Group. So any kind of events or any kind of information you need about the TWAIN Working Group, she's definitely the right person to go to. And then Vivek, he's with SimpliCapital. He's the CEO and co-founder. He's a good friend. He's got a great solution and very willing to engage. So I'm very excited to have him today as part of our presentation and furthering our TWAIN Working Group, TWAIN Direct ISV showcase. So with that, I want to take a quick poll of everybody while I'm talking about this. So I'm going to launch this poll and I'm going to talk this. So if everybody can please contribute to that poll. The TWAIN Direct ISV Showcase Series, what this is this is the second one. We did one a couple weeks ago that was focused on cybersecurity. So it was blockchain and biometric authentication and identity. So we talked about cybersecurity and how that integrates with the TWAIN Direct project. And then today is our second one. So we're talking about something completely different. And this is on the application side. And Vivek will show you how his application can help better your cash flow and your working capital. So it's very exciting to see tangible results of what we do with scanning documents, extracting metadata. So the whole point is that the TWAIN Working Group wants to broaden our ecosystem of software partners. So we're very happy to have all these ISVs come in, and there's a lot more that are interested in what we're doing. It's an opportunity for people like Vivek to share his technologies with our audience. So it's very exciting for me personally to see the results of us extracting data and putting it into a system, and then how Vivek can make his system very smart by the metadata that we produce. And then it's also providing you, the audience, of a roadmap to see what TWAIN Direct can be, because this TWAIN Direct is it's an image acquisition protocol, but there's things that need to be wrapped around it. So you can see this is how TWAIN Direct is strategically important to by business. Either you're a user of the technologies, you're an integrator of the technologies, you're a consultant with the technologies. So you can see strategically important how TWAIN Direct can be. And it's a sincere effort on our part as the TWAIN Working Group to broaden the overall market, because when the overall market expands, then there's more business for everybody. So that's sincerely our charter from the TWAIN Working Group. So that's the TWAIN Direct ISV Showcase. So we'll continue to have these. So if you're an ISV that has something to do with TWAIN Direct or TWAIN in general, we're glad to feature you on this showcase series. Okay, so let me stop the poll here. Okay, let me just capture that for future purposes. So thank you very much for that participation. Okay, so next thing I want to mention is, so we do webinars like this, and we're doing the ISV Showcase to showcase ISVs. We also have events. So we had our first TWAIN Direct Developers Day last November, beginning of November, in Safety Harbor, Florida. And it was a great event. Here's some of the comments. Integration of TWAIN Direct was simple and easy. There was a good vibe at TWAIN Direct Developers Day. And the partner ecosystem and ISV solutions for TWAIN Direct are really, it's obscured on my Zoom here, really impressive. So these are some of the comments from people that attended, and it's an event that you come and you spend one full day with TWAIN Direct experts. We have a lot of experts that you can just sit right next to them, and we can help you code your TWAIN Direct application. You get a functional web application that uses TWAIN Direct in one day. There's hardware provided, there's expertise provided, there's sample source code provided, there's tutorials provided. So we have that technical hands-on session. We also simultaneously have a business track. This is very popular too, where we have different table topics, about 6 during the day. And then we talk about for half an hour, a particular topic. And that was a big highlight of TWAIN Direct Developers Day also. And it's also a great opportunity to network with other industry peers. So we did that last November. It was a great success. We're gonna have another one in same place, Safety Harbor, on June 7th. So we'll do it on that day. If you want to attend, you come in on the night of the 6th. We'll have a little reception set up and whatnot, and then you spend the full day creating your application. So I'll give you more details at the end of this presentation on this, but it's a great event. I highly recommend if you have anything to do with scanning, capture, cloud services, TWAIN Direct, TWAIN et al., I would suggest you attend that event. Okay, so that's Developers Day. So let me kick off another poll if I could here. Go back to here, and actually, we've already done that, so I'll do another poll in a minute. So just a little bit on TWAIN Direct. So the traditional scanning architecture is you get a USB attached scanner. Back in the day, it was SCSI or some kind of other interface, but nowadays mostly it's USB interface, and you get a computer and you connect that via USB cable. It's very traditional, it works. But then you have to get a bunch of different software. So sometimes you have to get the driver software. So it might be the TWAIN driver, the ISIS driver, VRS driver, whatever it might be. You get some capture software, you get some business software, you get your IT department involved. So this works, but now with modern cloud services and connectivity, this is old fashioned. So that works. I'm not saying that's not still a way to do it, but there's a new way. And the new way is with TWAIN Direct. So because so many of the scanning devices are coming with multiple interfaces, they come with a USB port, they come with an Ethernet port, they're Wi-Fi, or some of them are just eliminating the USB altogether, and it's just a kind of total network attached scanner. So if that's the case, if scanner manufacturers are coming out with network interfaces, there have to be applications to connect and utilize those. So that's where TWAIN Direct comes in. So some of the manufacturers have put TWAIN Direct inside of their hardware. You can create an application, a mobile application, web application, desktop, whatever it is. You use the TWAIN Direct API and you connect directly to the scanner, or you can register a scanner with TWAIN Direct Cloud, and you can have your communication talk to the cloud and then talk to multiple PCs that are registered. So this is the kind of new way. And it's really easy and quick to basically deploy these scanners, because you just go to a web interface and register. It's like a 5-minute process. Once they're registered, then you can use it in the fashions I mentioned, either directly to the scanner or through the cloud. So that's basically the TWAIN Direct architecture. So in the theme that Vivek and I are going to talk about now in a few minutes is this idea of efficiency. So deploying a scanner takes time, takes costs. To manage the scanner takes time and cost. So going with the TWAIN Direct strategy helps you reduce operational costs because it's PC-less, like I just mentioned, your application directly to the scanner. So in this example, there's no PC cost. There's no operating system cost. There's no antivirus software that's required on the PC, plus other things that you need for the PC. So if you're taking the PC, that's hard cost. That's hard capital cost you do not have to spend. So in our little example of 10, 15, 200 scanners, if you had to attach a PC to that, you could see quickly, even with the 10 scanner deployment, that's $9,200. If you've got 500 scanners, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then you don't have the cost of the driver itself because TWAIN Direct is open source. And then probably one of the key things is the burden of IT moving forward. Because it's a direct network attached scanner, you can always get the real-time status. You can manage it remotely. You can update it remotely. You never have to have somebody physically go to the location or reconfigure the, from 200 DPI to 300 DPI for all these scanners. So because it's centralized management, because it's an IP-based device, you can manage it remotely. So you can see just clear capital costs that you don't have to spend within a PC-less architecture. There's tangible savings, there's intangible savings. So this plus what Vivek's going to show you in a few minutes and talk about, this is kind of almost a no-brainer. So let me introduce the solution, and then we'll get into a demo and a discussion of SimpliCapital. So this is how it looks at a high level, is that you've got a scanner out here. It could be any scanner. It could be a small scanner. It could be a big production scanner. It could be a hybrid scanner that's got a touchscreen interface, but you could still use it via TWAIN Direct. So over here, you've got your scanner. You've got the TWAIN Direct protocol, plus some other things. You need things like authentication and whatnot. So it's not, I don't want to give the impression that what you're seeing today is all just TWAIN Direct. It's TWAIN Direct plus some additional technologies like authentication and image preview. Those are things that TWAIN Direct doesn't provide. We just provide the API and the specification to interface with the scanners. So what you'll see is us scanning a document with an application, then we'll extract the metadata automatically from an invoice, and then we'll put it into an accounting system. And Vivek supports many different systems. We just have a couple listed here, but QuickBooks, NetSuite, Dynamics, Sage, Xero, and FreshBooks. So his application, as he'll mention, integrates with those. So I don't want to steal your thunder, Vivek. But then there's a syncing process between the accounting applications and his applications. And what he does is have in his application on the back end that people can utilize all these images and data. Okay, so we've got the steps here. Register a scanner, you scan the invoices and the bills, you extract the data, then you export to the accounting system. So that's kind of the scanning portion on the left side here. And then as I just described, then SimpliCapital takes over, they sync between the two systems, and then their AI engine does all this rest, and I'll let him explain it. So I won't steal your thunder anymore, Vivek. Okay, so let's do the highlight here of the show, is the demo. So I'm going to show you the front end process of getting the image and getting the data into an accounting application. I'll just use QuickBooks just because I had available, and it's kind of simple to show that. And then I'll turn it over to Vivek for his good explanations about this. So let me take one more poll before I get there. And this is in regards to accounting software. So as I mentioned on this slide here, this is how it works. So accounting software, either in the audience today, do you use one of these accounting packages or multiple of them? Or does your solution interface with those, or would you like to interface with those? What we're trying to find is, what kind of integrations are of the highest interest. So if we get a few more feedbacks. Yeah, a lot of people with Dynamics, people with QuickBooks. There's other options, FreshBooks, NetSuite, Sage, SAP. Okay, give that a second. Okay, all right, good stuff. Yeah, Dynamics wins at the end of the day. Is that surprising, Vivek, or do you see more QuickBooks? I would have thought more QuickBooks, but.
Yeah, even I would have thought more QuickBooks, but then, as the size of the business increases, then I think Dynamics gets to be more popular.
Yeah. See, good stuff from the expert. Oh, Vivek, you know what? I skipped your introduction. So can we go back? I'm sorry about that. I should have let you introduce yourself. Can you do it, Vivek? Can you give your introduction? I'm sorry.
There you go. Finally unmuted. No worries at all. Thanks for inviting me to this webinar, Kevin. I'm excited to talk more about SimpliCapital and how our partnership with TWAIN will benefit our customers. So as a background, I have over 22 years of global experience, predominantly with GE and GE Capital in a variety of finance operations, transformation, and data analytics roles. Started my career as an electrical engineer, was consulting across Southeast Asia for a few years. Then I moved to the US to do my MBA in corporate finance and strategy, from where GE picked me up, first as a summer intern and then full-time. The majority of my US career was as a Lean Six Sigma quality leader for different GE functions and businesses. And from the US, I moved to Canada for a short stint before moving to the Netherlands, where I'm currently based out of since 2011. Couple of my GE roles were focused on improving GE's free cash flow across their different GE businesses like healthcare, power, aviation, etc. Through a combination, firstly using analytics, using AI models, and then obviously different operation strategies as well. There came a point where I decided to take that knowledge and experience and transform it into a standalone SaaS product that uses AI to optimize working capital. And that's literally how SimpliCapital was founded. So yeah, I mean, look forward to going through a demo at some point, but back to you, Kevin.
Yeah, awesome. So you've got a lot of experience with large enterprises at GE Capital, obviously, and different, not just but the accounting vertical inside of other vertical markets. Exactly.
And I think that's where, large organizations tend to be more complex. I think what we've tried to do with SimpliCapital is build a very simple, intuitive system, specifically geared towards the lower mid-market sector, where there's little to no IT support required.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that there's a lot of, I mean, in your system, I know we've talked in the past about recovering, a certain percentage of your, working capital, making your working capital more efficient. Do you find that big companies can benefit more, or like smaller companies? Is there a ratio? Like, a big company can recover 5%, or small companies can recover 50%. Is there kind of a sweet spot for you?
Yeah, I think, 5% for a small company can be a big deal if you think about it, right? And I think the needs of small businesses and large corporations is different. Large corporations typically, rather than going for something like SimpliCapital, they would need something more complex, like what we call a TMS, which is a treasury management system. That is a lot more complex in terms of handling all their different cash requirement needs. So, and small businesses don't need that level of complexity in their day-to-day operations. And so that's really where SimpliCapital comes in. We try and take out all the different needs that large corporations have, and then we build something that is much more laser focused towards what small businesses actually need.
Yeah, and regardless if it's small or large, I mean, if you can employ a system that's not going to disrupt your existing business process, but just allows you to kind of easily, be better with your cash flow and your working capital. I mean, why wouldn't you do it? I mean, you're just adding, you're adding this additional capability that it just makes you better, right? Because I know right now, running a business myself, right? I get historical data. And that's cool, right? But that's in the past. That's already done. It's just reconciling the books, kind of analyzing historical data, and that's cool. But I tend to get the visibility to my accounts receivable and my accounts payable is like delayed 30 days because it takes me time to put in the data, and there's a stack of stuff sitting over there that I haven't got to. So if I could like get it in quickly and then make decisions quickly and model it quickly, then I'm recovering some percentage. I don't care if it's 1%, I don't care if it's 20%. I mean, the more is the better, right? But any kind of improvement in my cash flow is positive because I could use it for some other purpose or decrease, get an early pay discount or whatever, but there's some reason that I want to pay that bill, or I don't want to pay that bill, right? Maybe I could delay a little bit and, do something else with that money.
Yeah, I mean, that's the lot of great thoughts. So let me give you my 2 cents in this one. You're totally spot on. I think so. Let me ask you this in terms of how much time does it take you to implement TWAIN Direct?
Yeah, so there's 2 parts of it, right? There's deploying the scanners, and then there's actually getting the usage out of it. So deploying the scanners, as I said, you go to a web interface, you register the scanner. So you just go there, you register a URL, and you put your username and password, and it's registered. So usually, even with people that aren't comfortable with that, it's like a 10-minute process once they know where to go. So deploying the scanner one time, that's a 10-minute process. Then actually get up and running, you need to learn the interface a little bit. But that's probably about like 30 minutes total to learn how to use the system. So literally like in an hour, we've got people actually with full production workflows in about an hour. So deploying and using them.
Perfect. So you spend an hour and all the upstream processes are digitized and in your accounting systems. Now let's take the next step into let's say your QuickBooks, which was the example you just gave. And so SimpliCapital, we are actually building APIs that connect to all these different accounting platforms like QuickBooks, NetSuite, Dynamics, etc. And the connection happens in a matter of minutes. So your setup that used to take about your registration process that takes 10 minutes, for us, the same registration process will take about 10 minutes. And the real-time data sync starts immediately. The only thing what we need to do is, so you can immediately see all your receivables, your payables, everything within a matter of minutes in SimpliCapital. Now, the only thing that we take a little bit of time on is we customize the AI models based on your specific business requirements and business needs. And that takes us about a day. So the customization of the AI models, our data scientists in the back end, we do it to make sure that you have a 90+% forecasting accuracy and the optimization engines are all set up properly. That takes about a day. But then the day-to-day visibility and putting things on autopilot. So you can actually, once the real-time data sync happens, Kevin, you can just set up SimpliCapital, like automatically email reminders are going to your customers. Your customers have questions, they can come back, log into SimpliCapital. Those questions will come to you. You can resolve customer questions on a real-time basis. Your payables, you can just set them up. If there are certain suppliers that take priority, you can set them up. If there are certain suppliers that need to be paid on time, you can set them up. And for all others, we optimize your payment schedule such that, we move payment dates left and right on the due dates to make sure that you have an average of a 20% cash savings on your payables. So it's literally an autopilot once you connect it to us. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we do have a question that's related to this coming in, Vivek. So let's just answer this in real time since you touched on this. So actually, there's 2 questions. How long does it take to implement TWAIN Direct and SimpliCapital? So you kind of asked me that, and we'll actually go through it since you asked that question and somebody asked that question. I'm going to show you in real time registering a scanner, and that 10 minutes, because I've done it before, I know how to do it rather quickly, so I could even do it in 5 minutes, right? So, but let's show that process live here. So we'll go that. So how long does it implement? Deploying the scanner, like I said, let's just say 10 minutes over exaggeration, getting the TWAIN Direct application set up, that's another 30 minutes, like I said. You do need to get your accounting software and map the fields if you're going to do OCR, the output from the OCR engine or the application, the capture application into the, in this case, the QuickBooks fields. That's a little bit of setup too. So you need to set up your QuickBooks properly. But then once all that's done, like Vivek said, just minutes to integrate, his system and the QuickBooks system or the accounting system. And then once that's all set up, that's a one-time process, that's finished, right? And then from there on, the AI, both the AI on, the capture side is learning document types and creating models. And so the capture will get more efficient over time. And then SimpliCapital will also get smarter over time using AI and ML. So I'll show that. And then also somebody also said the system looks too good to be true. Roughly how much it costs. And I know it always depends. So let's not get cornered into that. But I'll just tell you from the TWAIN Direct side, the TWAIN Direct API is open source. So you can go get it. You can develop an application. But generally, what I would say is people that are going to deliver TWAIN Direct type applications, I think it will be maybe in the hundreds of dollars a month kind of subscription range. It's not going to cost tens of thousands. It shouldn't, because you can make a capture system using a lot of good technologies out there that shouldn't cost too much. So basically, I think a TWAIN Direct application, for a 10 scanner system should be in a couple $100 a range, but that depends on the complexity and stuff. But it should be in that range. And then if you've got a 10 scanner system, usually these are shared scanners amongst people. So that should be 25 to 50 users. So if you say 50 user system with 10 scanners using this kind of system, if you amortize it, per scanner per user at a couple $100 a month, it's only going to cost you, maybe less than $100 per user, kind of, maybe even less, like if you really calculate out that. So Vivek, maybe you will just want to mention, like, roughly, is your system $100,000? Is it $1 million? What kind of price range, just so people have a feeling for it.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's definitely not $1 million, but it's the same. It's the same like you. It's a couple of $100 a month. Again, if you have like unlimited users, so if you have about, we don't really think of it like if you have 5 users or 50 or 500. So what we do is we make sure that we have a standard flat rate across the board. And we've tried to make it really simple. So it's literally API based. So we've released the first API for Intuit QuickBooks Online in October of last year. We are releasing our API for Dynamics, in fact, tomorrow. So I have a few customers that were on the waiting list, and I'm excited to now start deploying Dynamics 365 SimpliCapital installations. And then we are starting to build our NetSuite, because we've got a pipeline of customers waiting that are on Oracle NetSuite and are waiting for us to build the API. So that enables us to keep our costs low. And so if you think about it, it's the same. It's a couple of $100 a month. Again, it depends on the size and the complexity of the business. If the complexity increases and the number of transactions goes into, let's say, hundreds of thousands per month, then obviously, there's going to be a slightly different pricing. But then if it's a standard business, which does about 100, 200, 500,000 invoices a month, then it's going to be roughly the same cost as what Kevin just mentioned.
Okay, good. So that gives people kind of, where we're looking, right? We could, it could go enterprise, but it could definitely go down to small business that, has, not one user, but just a few users kind of thing. So it can scale down to the small business. Okay. All right. So let's get into the exciting portion of it, Vivek. This is a great discussion. I hope people are getting, value out of this. So let's get into the demo here, because I'm excited because it sounds like people want to see this. So let's do a demo. So I'm going to show you the kind of the process first. So let me show you a TWAIN Direct application, and then I'll go back and register a scanner just to show it. But this is an application. You go here and then you log in. So I'm going to log in with my credentials. So this is the first sign on. So I'm going to log in here. Whoops, maybe type that right. Yeah, I got to learn how to type. Okay. Okay, there we go. I typed my password wrong. It's two times. Okay, so first thing, this is just a little extra credit. We're going to show a second factor of authentication. So I'm going to press this button. It could have been an automatic process, but send me a little notification on my phone. I'm sure you can't see it because of the WebEx, but I'm just going to see no tricks. I got my hands here. I'm not typing anything special, but it's authenticating with my face. And you see it's authentication successfully. So I could have used my face, my iris, any one of my fingerprints, or my voice. So that was just a little second form of authentication that we've implemented in this application, just to show you. So this is our simple kind of interface. You notice I have 5 different TWAIN Direct scanners registered here. So we have an accounting scanner. This one's over in the accounting department. This is Vivek's personal scanner that he might have in his office there in the Netherlands, like you mentioned. Here's, if you can group them by location, here's one in the New York office. Here's a production scanner. So I got this one for big production use. Then here's a scanner that has a touchscreen interface. So I use it for pull, which I'm going to show you. We'll pull scanning using this web application, or push. You can actually use the touchscreen to push images into kind of system. So there's a lot of different variety here. So let me actually register a scanner here. So you notice I have 5. So on my network, I have a scanner at this IP address. Okay. So to register it, I just log in with the web interface. Again, there's no software installed anywhere. I haven't done anything, and I'm going to utilize the web interface. So I go over here, see a couple clicks. This is the URL I'm going to register this with. And I'm going to add it. So I go here and I say, okay, this is, let's say this is Craig's, because I see him on the line here, and Craig's scanner. Just so you know, it's a unique scanner. I'm going to register this guy. So I register it with my account and type the password right this time. And then it registers, and you see it's successfully registered. Now, see, I said 10 minutes, but I did that in like 2 minutes. So I never need this screen ever again unless I want to come here and do something with this. Zooms and screen this. So I don't need this anymore. So let me go back over here, see how there was 5. So let me refresh this. Now I have the 6th scanner. So where is it right here? I said Craig scanner, this one right here. So see how easy that was to literally get a scanner up here and run it. Okay, so now that we've got the scanner registered, you could see that the status is idle. It actually sent a wake up request because I had it it went to sleep. So now that the scanner is idle here, I'm going to start the process of scanning. So it's going to go out. I'm going to do, you type in an optional session here, SimpliCapital demo. This is an optional session state, just so you can keep track of your scanner sessions. Okay, now it says sessions ready, and this little green button over here highlights. So now you can see, just for the interface, we kept this simple interface. So here's some activity on the scanner. Here's a history of the scans. So to scan, I just press start scanning. It pulls the image through. Even though this scanner is physically just like 5 feet from me, it made a scan request to the cloud, and then it pulled the image in through the cloud at 300 DPI full color. So now that the image has been produced, it goes into our capture system. So this invoice that I just captured, it went through an OCR process and then extracted the data here. So you can see that it automatically got supplier name, Cool Cars. It got the invoice number 1044. It got the invoice date. The document itself is date, or month, day, year. You see how it reformatted to, we want it in a different format. So it's year, day, and month, or month and day. Notice this was US currency instead of a different currency. And it also got the line item details. So it got sprinkler heads, sprinkler pipes, sod services, got the quantities, and then the total. It got, so this is kind of the validation screen. It got the subtotal, $21.94, and the tax, $175.52, and grand total. So everything's correct. If I had to correct anything, like supplier name was this, then I could just click that. But in this case, this was these guys. So Cool Cars. So now that I've got the invoice here and extracted the data, then I can send this detail, the sprinkler heads, the sprinkler pipes, over to my QuickBooks. So now this has been imported into QuickBooks. I got the billing address here. I got the date, invoice date, the customer, the line item detail, sprinkler heads, sprinkler pipes, sod service, quantities, the amount, everything's good. So now that it's in QuickBooks, I want to turn it over to Vivek and then show how SimpliCapital can use this data in his application. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, so let me share my screen now.
Yeah.
Let me log into my demo. And this is when, SimpliCapital has already connected to QuickBooks Online. And so when you log into SimpliCapital, this is literally what you see. So immediately with a real-time data sync, you have a view of all your cash balances. You have a view of all your receivables, open receivables balance, your payables balance. At the bottom, you have some KPIs like days sales outstandings. How much time does it take you on an average to get money back to get your invoices paid from your customers, your top customers, top suppliers. In the middle, you have, what's your cash been, right? So what's been the health of your cash run rate? So you can see that in the last 6 months, in the last year or max. So then to Kevin's point, once the invoice has been entered and it's an open invoice in QuickBooks, SimpliCapital automatically recognizes that, brings that in, and all I need to do is just go into receivables. And even though I don't have the invoice via Cool Cars in here, but for demonstration purposes, this is all the list of open invoices that are done in QuickBooks right now. So Cool Cars would have come out here with the due date and the invoice and everything else, and the invoice amount $2,300 or something like that. And what we do is we give you an actual overview of what your total outstanding is, into how much is not due versus how much is has aged 1 to 30 days. So it's less than 30 days old, but still it's late and customers haven't paid you. Which invoices are sitting that are aged 31 to 90 days and 90 plus days. You can take a deeper dive into any of these buckets. You can look at your problem portfolio, problem invoices. You can interact with your customers on a real-time basis. But the AI part of it, what happens with SimpliCapital is we have a really strong forecasting engine that basically takes each and every invoice and then creates a forecast payment date. So in the first case, Johnson & Johnson, there's $150,000 on the invoice, which was due on October 14th of 2021. It's saying that this invoice will be late and will be paid on February 11th. Now, this is based on a bunch of factors. It's based on a bunch of economic factors. It's based on historical payment patterns of J&J. And then this forecast is actually 90% plus accurate at the time of implementation. And to what Kevin was saying earlier, as you start using the system over a period of 3, 6, 9 months, our AI models automatically recognize more and more data coming in for the same customers or for the same products. And the AI model just keeps on getting more and more accurate. So your cash inflow predictability, which was initially very uncertain, meaning you didn't know when your customers were going to pay you. You didn't know how much cash was expected next week, next month, next quarter. Now, SimpliCapital will tell you at a 90+% accuracy how much cash is going to come in next week, next month, next quarter. And this just shows you for the next 4 weeks your cash inflow that's coming in. Similarly, on the bills front, Kevin is going to using TWAIN. He's going to scan all the bills. Those bills are going to get entered into QuickBooks Online. We automatically get triggered, and those come out here on a real-time basis. And you'll see a list of all the open bills that you have to pay out to your suppliers. Now, this is an IP that we are filing for our payables optimization engine. This is actually not a forecasting, but an optimization engine, which takes a look at the due dates and the suppliers and the different contracts that you have with your suppliers. And then based on that, it schedules or it creates an optimal payment schedule for your suppliers. So if you look at the first row, first of bill, it's saying that even though the bill is due on Jan 13th, you should delay the payment by 5 days and make the payment on Jan 18th. This could be because of a variety of factors. This could be because the money coming in from your receivables is slowing down this week, meaning there's not a lot of customers who are paying you this week. So you may not have enough money to pay the supplier. Or it could be that you have more strategic suppliers to pay this week, and you can probably delay the payment on BuzzFeed for a couple of more days. So it looks at a variety of factors, and then it optimizes your payment schedules, to give you an average of a 20% cash saving. And so this shows you, if I sum it all up, this is all the cash that's going out in the next 4 weeks. So that this is your cash outflow. Your inflow minus outflow is what we say is your overall cash position. So this is at a 90+% accuracy. We can predict now what your cash forecast is going to be for the next 4 weeks. So you can be notified on a real-time basis. You can set thresholds. You can be notified if your cash balance is going below a certain threshold. Let's say in a couple of weeks' time, you will be notified right now. So you can take some proactive measures to make sure that that doesn't happen. You can make a couple of customer phone calls. SimpliCapital will tell you which customers to call to make sure that payments come in. So you can do all of that stuff. But there's a lot of different strategies that you can deploy using SimpliCapital. We also have a digital playground where users can come in and look at their different KPIs, play around with them, and look at the real-time impact on receivables, payables, and cash. So, for example, if my day sales outstandings improves by a single day, you can see that a one-day improvement results in a $1.5 million impact in my cash. So, you can take this information and then we will tell you exactly which invoices to focus on to make sure that you get this one-day improvement in your DSOs. And so your working capital optimization, what you're doing is, at the end of the day, you're speeding up your cash inflow and you're somewhat slowing down your cash outflow. So what happens is a faster inflow and a slower or a smarter outflow will maximize your cash availability and give you the optimal working capital. And that's really what SimpliCapital does at the end of the day. We use multiple different AI models and different collection strategies and optimization strategies to optimize working capital for small businesses. Does that help, Kevin?
Absolutely. It's up to the audience, but I think it's, it's a great tool to let you, it thinks for you. So it suggests payments and you could do modeling of your business. Like I said, historical data is one thing, but to predict the future, I mean, it's not 100%, you can't predict the future 100%, but if you can model it and make well-informed decisions based on the AI, that's cool. I think of this as like the chat GPT of accounts payable and accounts receivable, right? You ask it something, it gives you a reasonable answer, a pretty good answer, right? So I think you guys are that chat GPT of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I think it's, this whole wing-to-wing process or end-to-end solution that we've created, right? With TWAIN and you guys and us, it just helps. It's not just digitization of processes. It helps small businesses realize, on an average, I mean, if you're spending about $3,000 or $4,000 annually on a solution like a wing-to-wing solution like ours, you have the potential to realize savings in 5 figures on an annual basis, at least on a 5-figure basis. And that's why I'm pretty confident that end-to-end solution like ours can deliver at least an ROI of 20 to 25%. Within a space of 6 months, and that just keeps on increasing, right? And that's a powerful statement to make. But I think it's easy because I've seen businesses in terms of how they're managing their cash forecast right now. I mean, 94% of the US lower mid market, they still use spreadsheets. So they take extracts of receivables and payables, export those extracts on Excel spreadsheets, and then track their cash on spreadsheets. Or they use the QuickBooks summary reports to figure out what their cash positions are. We are telling you what your cash is going to be in a few weeks' time or in a couple of months, so you can take proactive measures right now rather than wait for something that is going to happen in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because these are all cloud-based solutions, you get started quickly, get started efficiently, like you said. Even in spending $3,000 a year, like somebody that's spending that kind of money on an accountant, on key entry, on kind of reviewing your stale, outdated books, and if you could have an ROI in 6 months, like you said, of 5 figures, that's really not, it's not that hard to make a decision on doing this because you don't need the IT department, right? You could almost do it yourself, get it together, start this process and start saving money. So every minute you're not making a decision to get a system like this, then you are actually costing yourself money. It's so, I mean, it's just so logical. The ROI is there, the time to value is there. So it's amazing, and, it's realistic because we're leveraging cloud and AI and all these cool things. You couldn't have done this stuff, 10, 15 years ago. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much. Let's move along here. And if there's any questions, chat them. But we're getting close to the end and I do want to leave time for questions. So awesome demo, Vivek. So back to our events. So we're going to have another TWAIN Direct Developers Day. So if you want to, remember I mentioned the one in November. So that was a great success. We're going to do something similar. We just anticipate it being bigger and having different people involved. Like, we hope that Vivek will be there with his stuff, other ISVs. And basically it's one day you come to that event, you get hands-on with the experts again, you get sample source code, you can build your application. At the end of the day, like, people were saying this was easy to do, it's awesome. And what's new is we're going to also, because we're starting to do more events as the TWAIN working group, we want to tie this in with membership because we want more members to come join the TWAIN working group too. So if you attend TWAIN Direct Developers Day on June 6th and 7th in Safety Harbor, Florida, we'll also give you, and this is hot off the presses, so you're the first people in the world hearing this, is that we will also give you 6 months of associate membership for the TWAIN working group. And what does that mean? Is that you get to participate in our weekly technical meetings where we have all the member companies come and we talk about technology and we talk about marketing. It's a really great event with all the leading companies. So we have member companies there and we have software companies there. So you get the, and that's a $1,500 value. You'll also get to attend the TWAIN Direct Developers Day business track. That's $1,000 value. So you get $2,500 worth of value in a attendee ticket. So if you want more information, Aaron Dempsey's email there, aaron.dempsey@twain.org. So I definitely encourage that. It's a great event. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to learn a lot of stuff. So with that, there is one more question coming in, Vivek. So let's take that while the kind of the contacts is up. So definitely visit Vivek's website. It's simplicapital.ai. He's got a really cool website. Talks a lot about the business value. So that's why I would encourage, that's why this webinar is so exciting, is that capturing images is just the beginning of the process, and just getting people digitized is hard enough, as most of the people on this call or will be reviewing this recording. Just getting digitized is hard enough. So that's one thing. And then extracting the data from images is also a difficult process. So if we've made this simple, then we want to utilize the data, and that's where Vivek comes in. So I definitely highly encourage you visit his website. I've taken the liberty, Vivek, of putting your personal email address there, so I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to.
He's very engaging, as you can tell, and very willing to work with people. So definitely email him directly. If you want to know anything more about the TWAIN Direct project, we have a dedicated website, twaindirect.org. Join our newsletter. The forums are pretty active, so join the forums and post questions or answer questions. We also do have a TWAIN Direct, just a TWAIN working group website. And then we do encourage membership. We want more member companies and more great companies like SimpliCapital to join our group and contribute to the project, because seeing the results of a scanned image to go through the process of this is pretty exciting to me personally. So Vivek, we got another question here. So, and I was kind of wondering about this myself, because we are a QuickBooks user. My company uses QuickBooks and we use it, but I'm not an accounting person. I don't know how chart of accounts and all this kind of stuff. So it's hard enough for me to use QuickBooks and what kind of capabilities are in QuickBooks, and it leaves me looking for more stuff, right? Because again, I'm good enough to run a report, a profit and loss report, and a cash flow report, but it's all historical data. So I know QuickBooks is capable of some stuff, but the question was, what's the difference between SimpliCapital and QuickBooks? Because I think there's a tie-in, but there's a difference too.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And look, I have to say QuickBooks is one of the really good systems out there. It's an absolutely fabulous system for small businesses that are getting up and running. So, that's that being said, QuickBooks, the main difference between SimpliCapital and QuickBooks is an accounting platform. It's an accounting system. SimpliCapital is not an accounting system. So SimpliCapital will not create invoices. We will not create bills. That is purely your base accounting platform, whether it's QuickBooks or whether it's NetSuite or Dynamics, whatever. That's where you basically run your business on. You run your business on those ERP/accounting systems. What we do is we simply just take that information and use AI to give you different strategies on how to optimize your working capital. And we do it in a bunch of different ways. And like I just showed you, I showed a few of them on the demo today, but there are like 7 or 8 other strategies that you can deploy within SimpliCapital just to make sure that you improve your receivables, you improve your payables, and you have much more automated and AI-directed cash forecasts of the future. So that's really what SimpliCapital does. We will never be doing what QuickBooks does, for example. We just build on QuickBooks capabilities and use their data.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's very clear. I think, yeah, it is what it is, and you're augmenting, the data inside those systems. So that's, yeah. Okay. Well, with that, if there's any other questions, we'll take them. But Vivek, I want to really thank you so much for your knowledge. I love that this can, start with a small business, and that's near and dear to my heart, to help all these great small businesses, but scalable, almost infinity, so that's really awesome. And as I kicked this off, the theme was efficiency, right? And we want efficiency through the scanning process, the capture process. And if we make, like I said, if we make that PC list, like I said in the beginning, eliminate the PCs, eliminate the cost of the PCs, the operating system, the IT burden. So we're taking care of that from the TWAIN working group perspective. And then the ISVs fill in the capture portion of it. And then you're the final model. So if you're offering 25% or 30% within 6 months, I think the overall system should be something more. I won't step up to the plate and say we're going to do an additional 20 or 30, but there's some reason to believe that there's a law of efficiency that could be utilized in these kind of systems. So definitely.
Yeah, look, I think it's important for businesses to realize how important cash flow forecasting is, especially in these days, right? I think the Fed just announced another interest rate hike yesterday of 25 basis points. Home loans are going to be more expensive, mortgages are going to be more expensive, lines of credits are going to be more expensive. And so what businesses really need to focus on is, how can I maximize the available cash that I have in a smarter, more intuitive manner? And I think using tools like TWAIN Direct and SimpliCapital just helps them, over the next 9, 12, 18 months of maybe it's a recession, maybe it's not. But then I think, all of this just creates the need for tools like ours.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't have said it better. So we'll just leave it at that. Maybe tough times are ahead, and being smart with your capital is probably more important than ever, so don't want to be dramatic, but that is the truth. So let's be smart with our business process and cash flow. So Vivek, thank you so much. This will be recorded, so we'll send everybody a recording. We'll post it on our website probably just in a day or two. It'll be available for everybody to review again. But a lot of good information. Vivek's got a lot more, setting up if you've got one of these accounting packages, if you want to set up a trial for him, I think he'd be willing to do that. So everything's on the table. And thank you so much, Vivek. Appreciate it. Thank you everybody for your time today, and stay tuned for the next Next, TWAIN Direct ISV Showcase Series, we'll probably announce that in maybe a week or two. So stay tuned for that, and we'll look forward to you next time. Appreciate it.
Great conversation, Kevin, and thanks for the time.
Thanks, Vivek. Appreciate it. Bye. Stop this. And let me stop recording.